Hey guys, Coach Shelby here, and I'm excited today because I want to welcome Stacy Goldberg to the call. And Stacy is the CEO and founder of Saverful. And Stacy's initial background started in nursing, and then slowly you morphed yourself kind of across the food spectrum and the health spectrum, Stacy, working into a master's degree in public health. And then you started to focus on human nutrition. And most recently, you've been doing a lot of consulting and whatnot with NBA teams and the NBA Coaches Association and whatnot. You've been all over the place in terms of media, as far as media outlets, writing and being featured in places such as Sports Illustrated, Shape, Self. And you're very passionate about, eating better and eating well. So I want to welcome you to the call first, Stacy, and looking forward to talking some nutrition.
Great. Shelby, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here and hopefully can give some good insight to your participants.
Absolutely. Now, I know before, we jumped on the call, in exchanging some emails and chatting and whatnot, one of the things you, again, have started to do is you've started to have your company, Saverful, focus on handling a variety of duties, in particular in relation to basketball. So I want to talk a little bit in a very global sense or a general sense. I want you to talk a little bit about, what you guys are doing right now for teams, and then, talk maybe about how you kind of got there, what bridged that gap between where you were when you started out professionally and where you are right now.
Absolutely. So it's definitely been a long, exciting journey in that we have been fortunate enough to be able to not only build a company at Saverful where we can increase the access of healthier choices in an organizational setting. So my passion, obviously, you mentioned it a little bit, but my background is in nursing, but also I have a master's degree in public health, human nutrition, both from University of Michigan, and realized that, I was very passionate about nutrition education early on in my career and wanting to be able to not only spread the knowledge about healthier choices, but also to be able to provide nutrition education in a variety of different settings. And I have worked in a variety of different settings over the last 20 years. But about 7 years ago, I was fortunate enough to start Saverful, and was really wondering how I could take what was happening in what I called the free from food space. So there was a lot of innovation happening around nutrition, meaning more and more people were looking to live a free from lifestyle. So that could be just clean eating based, meaning that someone's looking to, just eat free from artificial colors, dyes, sweeteners, athletes included, but also looking to live more specific lifestyle. So we were seeing a rise of people who wanted or had to be gluten-free or dairy-free or peanut-free or tree nut-free. And so I was fortunate enough to have an incredible partner to help me start Saverful, and knew that I had a passion for nutrition and had a vast experience in working with a variety of different populations. So Dan Gilbert, who is the founder of Quicken Loans, as well as the majority owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, invested in my company to be able to really take my vision and to be able to help me get, the nutrition awareness out there on a broader level. And then number two, be able to go into a bigger platform to be able to increase healthier choices in a variety of settings. Now, the model that I started Saverful with was a monthly box subscription model, which then really pivoted to be a model where we were testing, having me go into different organizations and meet with different types of companies to find out, was there really a need? Were people getting the nutrition consultation that they need? Were they getting the help and the education that they needed? And were they getting easy access to the best products on the market for their organizations? And so we tested a variety of different types of organizations, primarily, working in the sports industry, working in, the organizational setting, meaning at businesses, small and large companies. And what we realized is that typically the person who's in charge of procurement for an organization doesn't have much nutrition education, nor do they really have access to choices that their team needs, whether their team is a business or their team is a sports team. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to, over several years, develop a business and recognize that there was a need, specifically in the NBA, for people who wanted healthier choices and needed the information. And so started working with different teams in the NBA. Very quickly this grew, and very quickly I was introduced to many different people within the NBA setting who recognized that there was a need for more in-depth nutrition consultation and more need for having somebody really help those organizations, whether it be for their front office, their team, they're, on the road, in their practice facility, whatever it may be, to be a point person who's educated in nutrition and has a medical background to know how to get the right choices for their team members. And so with that, we quickly grew, and then we realized that we could scale into a variety of different settings within the sports world, and have since been able to take that business model and work with colleges and high schools and, middle schools and other types of sports environments. We've worked in the AFL, we've worked with teams in the NFL, the MLB, to be able to be a resource and, consult with them as they need. And it could be different. Like one organization may need much more intense consultation, and they may need much more hand-holding. Some, companies we work with, were just their central source for all foods, non-perishable, that they can have one central place to get everything they need for their planes, their practice facilities, their arenas. So it really depends on the organization and the client.
Right.
But, our goal is to be, just a leading expert in that space to help guide those choices. And with that, we developed a very easy to use e-commerce platform so people could come to our site, be able to get those healthy foods and get, the help that they need to pick those choices easily.
Right. And I was going to say, one of the things you touched on that I think is key is, you guys are really at kind of the front or the forward thinking point in terms of nutrition and health. And so I think you guys are on that front edge. So, in terms of always staying up with, or I almost want to say ahead of the research in terms of, knowing where things are going in the direction they are going to go, so that you give, the clients or potential clients, the teams, the organizations access and, to the food and the resources to be able to make those choices, which is, key.
Yeah, because it's very overwhelming. So, number one, an athlete, specifically professional athletes, if we're looking at that, and professional athletic sports teams are completely inundated, right? They're inundated with information. They're inundated with, being the best that they can be. There's a number of demands. And so, in most situations that I have worked with, in my experience, the person responsible for sourcing these foods in many cases are the strength and conditioning coaches. And it falls on them, and that's where a lot of my work has been, in working with strength and conditioning coaches, because they are quite often the messenger. They are communicating, information not only about strength and conditioning, but nutrition, because they go hand in hand. And, they're the ones who the guys are asking for a bar on the road, and which bar. And so, they already have a full-time job. So being able to help them and get those products, that might meet the needs of their players, because it's getting more and more complicated also because players' needs are changing. And the great news is that we're seeing more traction in players making the connection between the food that they eat, how they feel, and then how they perform on the court.
Right.
So to me, that's critical. And so so they might come to a strength coach or their team nutritionist or their team chef and say, you know what, I don't like whey protein. It doesn't work well for me. I can't eat it before I play, but I need recovery, or I need it pregame, or whatever their needs may be. So then the question is, well, do we want pea protein, or do we want to go to an egg white protein? And so there's a lot of different